Have you ever watched footage of a world leader walking across a runway, stepping out of a motorcade, or moving through a crowd and noticed something slightly odd? Right behind them, always within arm's reach, there is a person in a dark suit. Not speaking, not looking at the president, just scanning the surroundings. And in their hand, or strapped to their side, there is a plain, ordinary-looking briefcase. It does not look special. It does not look dangerous. It looks like something an accountant would carry to a Monday morning meeting. But that briefcase is one of the most classified, most consequential objects on the surface of the planet. And what is inside it has the power to change the course of human history in under 4 minutes. Here is the part most people never stop to think about. That briefcase is not for documents. It is not for files. It is not a prop. It is a direct link to the largest arsenal of nuclear weapons ever assembled, and it follows the President of the United States every single hour of every single day, including while they sleep. Welcome to History Behind Simple Things. Today, we are uncovering the extraordinary secret behind the most quietly powerful briefcase in the world, what it is, what is inside it, and why it never leaves the president's side. To understand why this briefcase exists, we have to go back to the darkest years of the Cold War. It is the early 1960s. The United States and the Soviet Union are locked in a nuclear standoff unlike anything the world had ever seen. Both sides had thousands of nuclear warheads pointed at each other. Both sides had bombers in the air around the clock. And military planners on both sides had worked out something terrifying. A nuclear strike could reach its target in as little as 20 to 30 minutes. Sometimes less. That meant the President of the United States had an almost impossibly small window of time to detect an incoming attack, verify it was real, decide whether to respond, and issue the launch order before American missiles and bombers were destroyed on the ground. 20 minutes. In some scenarios, far fewer. There was simply no time to convene a cabinet meeting. No time for long discussions. The president needed a way to communicate launch authority instantly, from anywhere on Earth, at any moment of the day or night. So in the early 1960s, the United States government created a solution. They called it the Emergency Satchel. The military called it the AACP, the Airborne Alert Data System Satchel. The press, and eventually the world, came to call it something far simpler. The nuclear football. The briefcase itself is a specially reinforced, bullet-resistant black satchel. It weighs approximately 20 kilograms. It is carried at all times by a military aide, one of 5 officers, rotating in shifts, one from each branch of the U.S. military, who are assigned to stay within sprinting distance of the president 24 hours a day. When the president flies on Air Force One, when the president sleeps, when the president goes on holiday. But here is what most people imagine incorrectly. There is no red button inside. There is no launch key that the president turns like in the movies. What is actually inside the football is far more interesting. The contents of the nuclear football are classified, but enough has been declassified and reported over the decades to give us a clear picture. Inside the briefcase there are several key components. The first is the Black Book. This is a binder containing the president's nuclear strike options, pre-planned attack scenarios prepared by the Pentagon, ranging from a single targeted strike to a full-scale retaliatory launch. The president does not design these in the moment. They choose from options already prepared. Some reports suggest there are dozens of scenarios. Each one has a different scale, a different set of targets, a different level of devastation. The second component is a book of secure authentication codes, used to verify to military commanders that the order they are receiving is genuinely coming from the president and has not been intercepted or faked. The third is a laminated card. This one is carried not in the briefcase but on the president's person at all times. It is about the size of a credit card. It contains the president's personal authentication codes. This card has a nickname too. It is called the Biscuit. The fourth component is a small satellite communication device, a secure radio system that allows the president to communicate with the Pentagon's National Military Command Center, from anywhere on Earth, even in the middle of the ocean, even underground. Now here is where the history becomes genuinely unsettling, because the football has not always been perfectly handled. In 1981, when President Reagan was shot outside a Washington hotel, he was rushed into surgery. The football stayed with the Secret Service. But in the chaos, the Biscuit, Reagan's personal authentication card, was reportedly placed in a plastic bag and left sitting in a hospital safe. The most sensitive nuclear authentication code on Earth was sitting in a bag next to a wallet and some loose change. In 2000, During the transition from President Clinton to President Bush, there was reportedly a period where the authentication codes had expired, but the new ones had not yet been issued, leaving a brief window where the system was incomplete. And perhaps most strangely of all, in 2021, during the transfer of power from one administration to the next, two footballs briefly existed simultaneously. The outgoing president's football was deactivated. The incoming president's football was activated. For a short window, the handoff created a moment that military planners had never quite accounted for in the original Cold War design. So the next time you see a world leader walking through an airport or stepping onto a stage, and you notice that quiet figure behind them carrying that plain black briefcase, you will know. That is the most serious object any human being has ever been asked to carry. A briefcase that has never been opened in anger. A briefcase that everyone on Earth is hoping stays closed forever. If you enjoyed uncovering the extraordinary secret, hit that like button and subscribe to History Behind Simple Things, and I'll see you in the next one.